Whew, finally. Hello. Okay, I am Patil. You're the first one here joining me live. So hello. And there's Yadav, there's Prince Nuhan. Okay, hello everybody. Everyone's joining. I can see that you're coming in, but okay. So guys, you know this is a very important live. First of all, hi, I'm Khuri Irani. This is from the West Block Blues account. So I'm extremely excited to be doing this. And who better to start off with than the man who's forever left a legacy behind over here. And I still think he has unfinished business with Bengaluru FC because let's face it, he's the man who started it all. He made you all dare to dream. He made your dreams come true, picked you up when you were down, dusted it off, back in the saddle, and you guys came back swinging. All of that was thanks to one man. If only I can see where his request is, and then I can add him. Hold on. So I'm going to try and get him live. Listen guys, we're doing this for the first time, so just bear with us, okay? Okay, everyone's waving. Hi, waving right back at you. But I need him to send me a live request. Come on. I can't view his request yet. Hello, Carlos. He says, hi, Khuri ma'am. Hello, Carlos. Trying to get him to come in live. Okay, let me go through this again. Finally. Finally. Guys, brace yourself. He's coming on live for the very first time. Okay. Come on. Let's get you live. He's connecting. Just a minute, guys. This is worth it. After all these years, how can you not be emotional already? And he's not even live yet. I'm emotional already. Whew, let's do this. Waiting for him to connect. I've accepted his request. He's going to be live any second now. Guys, keep your questions ready. This is a big opportunity. He's only agreed to do this for West Block Blues. Thank you in advance that you've agreed to do it. If only we could connect with him. It says waiting, so we're just waiting. But listen, you can ask him anything you want. I know there are a lot of players that have sent in their questions already, players who played under him while he was your coach. I know a lot of fans have been sending in their questions. A lot of his coaches who were with him at the time, his assistants have been sending him messages. I have all those questions with me. I'll try to ask as many of them as I can. For some reason, I can't get him live. Hold on. And he's not able to connect. So we're going to try and do this again. Hold on. Hello, I see a lot of my friends have joined as well. Hi, guys. Yes, stepping stone of BFC, you're right. He actually was the first stone of BFC. It was the foundation, the keystone in the arch that is BFC. Thank you, Shrish. I'm also very happy to be hosting this, but if only he would send me a live request. Hold on. Okay, I'm just waiting for him to join. Finally, turn the phone the other way because we're talking like this. Hey, Ash.
How are you?
I'm good. Welcome to Instagram Live. We're on the West Block Blues account. Thank you so much for doing this. You have no idea how amazing me and everyone else here at West Block Blues feels. Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. I mean, given the circumstances, we're locked down over here, making most of the time. How's life over there? Where are you? What's your day like? Tell us.
Yeah, Sydney at the minute. Obviously, still strange times like everywhere else. We're on like phase 2 now. It changed on Friday to phase 2 of lockdown. So restaurants can open for 10 people. You can train in a park with 10 people.
Nice.
Things are starting to slowly open up a little bit. Obviously, you can go for exercise as much as you want to the beach or local parks. Takeaways you can get. All the clothes shops are now open. So it's getting to the next stage. I think they're saying that maybe June the 1st it may be like fully open, but we'll wait and see.
That's something to look forward to. So it's nice. But we're under total lockdown. We're staying home. We're staying safe. And Wait, before we even start, if this has to be, Ash, with you always, something has to start off on a different note. Kunal's first message is Gaffer, late. That's a fine. What do you
Never
want to
late.
say?
Technology, not my strongest point. But I was requesting for ages, and for some reason it just weren't connecting.
I accepted for ages, and it kept saying trying to connect to Westwood, but it didn't connect. But
Yeah,
here you are.
mine just kept saying request not sent, but who knows? It's done
Yeah,
now.
it takes a while. I mean, it was worth the wait. Thank you so much, Ash. Right at the start, I have to say this on behalf of West Block Blues, on behalf of everyone from Indian football. Actually, thank you. We've all missed you terribly every single day, and even today. Your anecdotes, little phrases, things that happened when you were around. Everyone still talks about all of that. So you're really, really missed. So first of all, thank you so much for doing this.
Nah, it's a pleasure to be here. Nice to have something to do. Obviously, been doing a little bit here and there, but with football not happening anywhere in the world, then finding myself at loose ends at time.
Yeah. So Ash, let's start right away because we have limited time and there's so much to talk about. Let's start immediately with the Ashley Westwood era when you came to India. So how did it all start off? You coming. I know you've spoken about this a lot, but talk to the fans directly. Tell us something you haven't said before.
Yeah, I think obviously people know the reasons why I went there. Obviously, predominantly I was coaching in England. I was assistant at 3 championship clubs. The last one was being Blackburn Rovers, and we got sacked on, I think it was March the 19th. I remember that because my son's birthday, so I'll never forget it. And we were owned by Indians, the Venkis from Pune. So I think Mandar Tamani, who obviously is still at the club now, is now CEO. He was probably involved with the Venkis. My name was kind of in the system through an agent that dealt with the Venkis that Mandar knew. And that was kind of where the first connection came. The fellow who I was assistant to, Michael Appleton, decided to take a bit of a sabbatical, if you like. I knew that he was going to be out of the game for a while. So it was a chance for me to go and be my own boss and put my own stamp on things, and an opportunity of a new club with a blank canvas was too good to turn down, and that's where it came from, really.
You say blank canvas, you say opportunities, but all of those I'm sure came with their set of hurdles and struggles as well.
Yeah, it did. I mean, obviously, Indian football was nowhere near of what it is today. I think that's the first thing. 2013 to 7 years ago, if you like. It's gone on so much. It's grown so much. It was the I League. There was no ISL, and it was a chance to go and change things dramatically. I'd looked at Indian football once the opportunity came around. I'd watched quite a lot of games. I noticed, fitness was way down. I lost count the amount of times people went down on the field with cramp, which you don't see today, which shows you how far it's gone. I mean, for me, it was professional, it was full time, but it was kind of semi-professional from application-wise, from the way the players trained, from the way the players got, looked after by the clubs, from the way the players got, advice of nutrition and fitness and blah blah blah. So I knew instantly, because of how far behind it was, I knew that you could go in there and make an instant impact as long as you was able to drive things and commit yourself correctly.
So immediately you came in, and were you always the disciplinarian, a hard taskmaster? I mean, I've heard some of the punishments you put the players through if they didn't follow the routines. Just tell us about that. How much of discipline did you have to entail in your players?
Yeah, I think it was more just setting standards, to be honest. If you're in at 6 a.m. in the morning and you're there till 7 p.m. in the evening, then instantly players are like, that's a big workload, and they start to follow. And obviously, you don't let anything slack. Intensity is more of the word, I would have thought, than disciplinarian. But there was a huge element of professionalism that needed to be achieved, and it wasn't achieved, I don't believe, before I got there. Just from diets, from fitness, from the way the bodies look now, you only have to look around the ISL now and the current players, and everybody's learned that this is how we do professional football. I'd been educated in England, come through all the English systems for years as a player and a coach, and knew the standard that had to be ascertained, and that was the reason what we did. We went in there, we put guidelines, we put testing, and anybody caught slacking would obviously be fined. But you know, the fines or the punishment would always go back to the players. You know, it was never for self. It was never for personal gain. It was just to set standards and achieve things. You know, we did regular body fat testing, regular urine tests. The players thought they were clever. I think after a while they worked out that if you walked into the toilets with a bottle of water, you could put that in the piss pot and try to con me.
Did anyone manage to fool you?
Oh, I knew what was going on. Obviously, for at least a season,
you know
everyone was quite strict. But if every now and again a player, I think the English boys were wise to it. If they'd ever had a night out and they come in a little bit dehydrated, I think they worked out they could put a bit of water in the pot. And I had my fitness coach, Mal Purchase, who you know, you could never run anything past him, and they didn't know that we used to feel them to see how warm they were. Obviously, piss is warm, water's cold, so we knew straight away what the script was.
You're smart, but tell us some of the apart from the monetary fines, which were some of the punishments which would, you know, tend to embarrass the players? That you'd see to it that, okay, this is not going to happen again after a punishment like this. Any typical Ashley punishments?
I remember once, obviously, I brought John Johnson and Curtis Asano over from England, and John Johnson, I actually played with him at Northampton. He was captain of the club when I went back. I think I went back when I was 33, 34. And I was quite close to Jono. I'd actually even been on a lad's holiday with him to Ibiza that I'm not sure if many of the players would know. So I knew him inside out. I knew him, you know, I could read him like a book, but he was the one. I wanted to take him because I knew he was a good player, first and foremost. But he was always, Jono was always a little bit loose off the field. You know, you had to watch him. So my arrangement with him was, listen, you can come, but the friendship's ended. You know, obviously I'll speak to you as a gaffer. You know, we're not kind of friends anymore.
Yeah.
You know, we won't be hanging out in bars. We won't be blah blah blah. But because he was desperate to come, I kind of had an agreement with him that he wouldn't let me down. And to be fair to him, he didn't. But it was the odd occasion. I just remember once, I don't know, it was a Sunday. We might have been training on a Monday, and I walked into to Sky Bar with a friend, and Jono was there with Curtis Asano having a drink. And I was like, get the fuck out of here.
Okay, everything's allowed over here.
Which he did, to be fair to him. But Curtis Asano tried to argue the toss to say they were doing nothing wrong. But there was various things that we did.
What about the Indian boys? Tell us some of the stories, or some Indian boys that needed to be disciplined, or the punishments they had to, something about they had to walk around wearing a typical bib or something like that. I heard one of those stories.
Yeah, we did. We on a Friday, day before a game, or whatever the day before a game was, we always had a little fun and games day. You know, normally we do our tactical stuff. You know, match day -2, match day -1 is normally just short, bright, and a little bit of fun. We had something that I had at Bradford City, to be honest. So when you become a coach, you take little snippets from every club you've been at. And when I was at Bradford City, we got promoted to the Premier League, and we had some good characters there. People like Stuart McCall, Dean Windass, you know, Peter Beagrie, whoever they are, and Paul Jewell's the manager. And always we used to have this yellow bib competition, which used to intensify training, used to make it really competitive. And basically the yellow bib is just a terrible yellow shirt. Once you win it, you have to sign it. But you turn up to the game wearing it, and the players vote for it. You know, on a Friday we do this short session. There's normally 18 outfield, you know, 6v6v6 little competitions, and the worst player on the day gets voted on a presentation to wear this yellow bib and bring it into the game the next day. Normally, you know, first week or so it's not too bad, but by week 15, week 20, obviously you never wash it; it's stinking. So the players would wear that and bring it in, and we'd have a presentation. One time, I remember the first time we ever had it, we had Saddam, the little security guard, and obviously his name's Saddam, so somebody ended up buying a Saddam Hussein mask, and he presented the players wearing the mask, and we just made a little bit of fun and joke. It was all added to our camaraderie, really.
But who had to wear the ugly yellow shirt the most in your reign there? You can give names. Well, everything's allowed here.
Everyone got a turn on it. I think obviously Sunil being ultra competitive. If everyone had ever had a chance to vote for Sunil, they would, because obviously he's the best. He's the loudest. He's the most competitive. But if you win the competition, you get the chance to vote. You see, so most of the times Sonal would end up on a winning side, but if he was ever on a losing side, you could more or less guarantee the lads would try and get him back by giving him the yellow bib.
Wow. All right, so we've spoken about how you got here. Ash, what was it like when you were down on the field for the first time as the head coach, your very first match in the dugout? Just tell us about that. Your first game. You went on to win the titles, win the Fed Cup, all of that. But your first game as BFC head coach.
I think because the arrangement we had with the club was it was a 3-year project. Finish outside the bottom 3 year 1, mid-table year 2, and hopefully top 3 year 3. So there was never any expectation from us. We had a real low playing budget compared to the rest of the league. My foreigners might have been on $6,000-7,000 where some of the foreigners were on 15,000-20,000 in your Ranty Martins and people like that. And that was the way we wanted to do things. We wanted to go with a young team. I think our average age might have been about 23. And it was a building process. It was to strengthen Indian football on a long-term project to try and develop players to get them into the national side. So we never had any expectation. So when you take your first game, the first thing I remember is the crowd was fantastic. It was packed out, which we never expected. A new club playing for the first time. Nobody could have turned up if we didn't do it properly. That was credit to everybody at the club who tried to market it and get out into the community and out flyers and blah, blah, blah. So on the sideline was pretty relaxed because you're not expected to win. It's not like you coach a Man United and everyone wants you to win. The minute you lose to Burnley, you get hammered or whatnot. And we were playing probably the biggest side at the time, which was Monmagane. And they had, a far superior budget than us. They were ones that should have been walking away with a win. And we absolutely dominated them. And we knew from the first game that we had a chance. Obviously, you set your own pressures. You set your own standards. You want to... I'm not coming to India to be there and not win anything. I'm coming there to try and make a difference. So you put your own pressure on yourself. You set your own standards. If passes are going astray or if things aren't doing the right, systems or whatever you've set up, if that's not getting carried out correctly, obviously you'll be a little bit annoyed and whatnot. But that was always the big thing. Whenever I got asked about anything, whenever I got asked about winning or when it was getting close, are you going to win it? I was always, just playing it down, with no pressure.
But at the start, there's no pressure of expectations. But as the season progresses, that pressure is obviously building because they've started to expect things from you. That's a bunch of misfits coming together. They could go on to be the champions, which they eventually did. So just how was that process then?
Again, it was we just played it down all the time. We just concentrate on our performances, on our development. If we win, we win. If we win the league, great. If not, then we'll be stronger next season. So we just did that, but secretly inside, after all the work we put in, you never want to criticise other coaches or you never want to blow your own trumpet. But I thoroughly believe we worked at miles harder than anybody else. And if you didn't win it, you'd be feeling a little bit aggrieved because you didn't get the final icing on the cake. But again, it was always a long-term plan.
So it took off. Like you said at the start, your first season plan was you didn't want to finish at the bottom. Second season was mid-table. And then in the third season, you could probably think, right off the bat, Bengaluru FC made all the right noises. Actually, Westwood's team made all the right noises and you went on. You became champions. Now, you have to, once you're at the top, you have to stay at the top. How difficult was the second season then?
That was, to be fair, as soon as we won it, obviously, we ended up, I think we won it in Goa and we ended up having a night out. I think Parth Jindal came and probably ended up making me pay the bill because he's tight as.
Best money you ever spent, Ash.
So we knew straight away it was just thinking about next season. We're not there. We're going to be a one-season wonder. We need to improve. And we just had to make some tough decisions. We released Johnny Minonga, that was probably one of our best players, but at 34, 35, and being a converted number 10 to a number 4, knew we could kind of improve. And then we just looked at the squad and we had to cut a few players who we thought we could improve on. Obviously, we've now got a year under our belts where we're looking around the league all the time. We're always looking at videos to try and strengthen teams and bring other players in. I don't know, that's somewhere we might have signed Eugene Lingdo, Fano Chante, the left back, maybe Moya, the goalkeeper. And we just tried to improve all the time. And that was one of the things we always did every pre-season. cut 6 or 7, 8 players and bring 6 or 7 new ones in, and maybe an extra foreigner if one's underperformed, and just always make sure we don't stand still and rest on our laurels, which is what we did. And in season 2, although we didn't win it, we were probably a better side.
Yeah. You just mentioned about converting a number 4 to a number 10. One of the biggest conversions, if I can use that word, was Sunil Chhetri. You, from a centre forward to playing him on the left, is something that you brought in because it appealed to your system of a 4-3-3. You've always mentioned this, that he didn't fit in as a proper number 10 in your system, so you converted it. Was it hard for you, or did you always believe that I can get the best out of this player and his optimum potential can be utilized if I play him on the left?
It was just the way that I believed would be the best system for Indian football. When I went there, I looked at it, and most Indian teams had played a 4-2-3-1. They'd had Rob Barn, a technical director from Holland. They'd had Wim Koevermans, the national team coach.
Yeah.
And Dutch are normally always 4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
Which always left a number 10, which was always normally foreigner. And the number 10 would always be maybe an African foreigner that won't run, that won't defend. So if you play with a 4-3-3 with a deep line in midfielder, he can come and get the ball off the back 4, and straight away you can play out from the back, almost unopposed, because the number 10s don't want to do the work. I don't like playing 4-2-3-1 normally, because I like to push my 2 attacking midfielders up high up the pitch, which gives you 5 across, if you like, with your 2 wide men, your centre forward, and then your 2 attacking midfielders getting involved as well, a little bit maybe like Man City. And I believe that was the way to play exciting football. So I was never going to play with a number 10. I never did. I don't think I've ever played 4-2-3-1 ever. Maybe once in my life. I can't even remember it. Maybe in my 3rd season. And it was always about trying to dominate the opposition. So I needed a goal scorer on the left. But obviously, Liverpool play 4-3-3. You're not telling me that Salah doesn't score a load of goals. You're not telling me that Mane doesn't score a lot of goals. Obviously, Firmino plays down the middle. So I always knew that Sunil, if was guided correctly, because obviously technically wise, ability wise, was always the best. If he learned how to play that left-sided role, get inside the full-backs from across on the opposite side, also retain our shape when we're defending, then I knew he could always take that information on board. So there was, it wasn't plain sailing to start with, but he adapted well because he's intelligent, and obviously he's gone on. I think he scored 14 goals in his first game from the left side, and that probably only about 20 odd games. So his strike rate ended up being good. I don't think he scored for his first few games either.
We'll get to an entire conversation about Sunil Chhetri, but since we're on the conversation of season 2, and I'm sorry to mention this again, and I know it's been 5 years almost. It was 31st of May, 5 years ago. It's almost 5 years since then. Have you gotten over it? Because I know the West Block Blues haven't. In fact, the question that came in is, ask him about the tears of Kantirva. That was the question. That the final day of season 2, the last match. Talk to the fans. These are the people whose heart broke along with yours. These are the guys who still haven't gotten over it as much as you haven't. So talk to them. Well, this is relatable. It's not me asking the question. Talk to the fans about that day.
I can start with 2 words, and that's Santosh Kumar. That's a referee's name, by the way, that robbed us. I always joke with him now anyway. It's quite light-hearted. I remember we were winning 1-0. Robin Singh went clean through 1v1 with a goalkeeper. What's his name? Paul,
Shilton
Paul comes running out. Probably best describe it as a kung fu tribute to Bruce Lee. Kicks Robin in the chest. Referee signals that he's got the ball. So if he's got the ball, that means we get a corner, but he gives a goal kick. So obviously that didn't happen. And I think it was just such a big game, such a big occasion. 24,000 people, I think, was at the stadium. The referee's choked at 1-0. If he gives us that penalty with 10 minutes to go, we win 2-0. Simple as that. And then it was Sean Rooney that I've actually ran into in Sydney. Believe it or not, it was probably about a year ago. This was just going off the subject. I went to a Western Sydney Wanderers game, and I went to the toilet. And as I've gone to the toilet just before kickoff, a geezer comes walking out with a BFC shirt, an Indian fella, with the Season 1 BFC shirt, holding Sean Rooney's hand. So I've gone, what the F are you doing here, Sean? And he's like, "Oh my God, what are you doing here?" He said, "I've just bumped into this fan randomly in the toilets, and next thing, this fan takes a picture with Sean Rooney and me in the middle of a Western Sydney Wanderers game," which the fella couldn't believe it. He just turned up to this game with a BFC shirt, and next thing, there must have been 40,000 people there, and he times it to go to the toilet and bumps into me and Sean.
What are the odds?
That was quite funny. But anyway, going back to the game, it was Sean Rooney's fault because he was marking, is it Bella Razak, centre-half from Monbegan. And 4 minutes to go, he gets a free header, puts it in the back of the net. 1-1. I think we'd gone 13 games unbeaten. And it was devastating. I've never got over it because we were so comfortable in the game. We should have won it 4 or 5. And I was wounded that we lost. And I've still now never come to terms with it because that would have been 3 years, 3 titles, which I don't think would have ever been done again. So I was a bit gutted that didn't happen. But no, you never look back. You can't really have any regrets. If we hadn't lost in season 2, then maybe we wouldn't have won in season 3 because that just made us even more hungry, even more determined to make sure we get it right and win the title back. When you suffer a disappointment, it just gives you a bit more drive to go out there and prove everybody wrong again. Obviously, you lose things and people are talking about Monbegan and how good they were and blah, blah, blah. So it just probably pisses you off, to be honest, and you just want to go on and make it better.
Did that mentality, did that emotion brush off on the players as well? I'm sure it does because the players are a reflection of the coach. To pick themselves up from something like this, to dust it off and say, we have to come back and we have to come back swinging. We have to do it. And then season 3, they went all the way to the AFC final. So was it hard to motivate the troops all over again after something as heartbreaking as that?
No, I don't think so. Obviously, we kind of made a few changes again in the squad. We added a couple of players. I think Josh Walker was injured. We took Michael Collins in. Sean Rooney had 2 years and got a little bit homesick, I think. So we took Kim, the centre forward, the Korean centre forward, and then we signed a couple more Indians as well. So every year we just got stronger. So the new faces coming in freshens things up. Players, in and around the camp are extra hungry to win titles again. And obviously the year we lost, we won the Federation Cup. So we ended up just winning trophy after trophy really, and always doing well in the AFC Cup.
Yeah. Ash, are you reading the comments? There's one that's coming from Sunil Chetri. 3 years of consistent performance, trophies, dominating the league, thinking big and ahead about AFC competition. Thank you, Gaffer. What do you want to say to him? Because he's watching you right now. What would you say to Sunil Chetri, given what he was then and what he is now? Talk to him directly, Ash. He's listening.
Nah, just obviously with Sunil, obviously he took a lot of information that we gave him on board. He trained as a true professional, and everything else is down to his own doing. He had a great platform in BFC with what we provided him, and that was due to everybody involved. Be it nutrition, be it apartments with the players, be it camaraderie and the team spirit, and getting the right characters into the club. And then obviously providing him the right platform with our systems, the way we train, the gym work we used to do, the hours that we used to put in. We would, turn up at 9 a.m. in the morning or 8 a.m. in the morning. The lads would go home, 3, 4 p.m. So all of a sudden we're spending a lot of time with each other. And it was just a great atmosphere at the club. And, obviously when you're successful, that obviously helps as well. But, he deserves a lot of credit for, being a player and the person he is. I think every single Indian footballer looks at Sunil to see, what is he doing? How is he so fit? Why is his body in so good shape? And a lot of the boys, take a lot of information off him, and they've all learned and transformed their bodies as well as Sunil has.
That's your message to Sunil Chetri, and you've seen him progress over the years. Who would you say is the best Indian player today in the footballing ecosystem in the country? Who's the best?
That's 100% Sunil. I think every Indian player would say that. At the minute, he's a little bit like Peter Pan. What is he now? I think he's 40 years of age, but he's still looks like he's 35.
It's not good. Come on, Sunil. You have to reply to that.
But he doesn't look...
He's the Benjamin Button of Indian football. He's aging backwards. Just even better today than he was then.
Yeah, never hardly gets injured, which obviously is is tough to do as a professional footballer. I've been there myself. You're always, concerned about, getting injured. So you have to look after yourself right. You have to put the right things in your body. And as you get older, when you start coming towards the end of the career, you probably start doing that a little bit more regimental. You start looking after yourself more because you're scared of your time running out. And, Sunil will finish football and whenever he decides, and he'll still be a big influential, character or person in and around Indian football.
He is such a big influence even through this lockdown. He's still connecting with the fans. He's connecting with everyone. Mandar's actually commented saying, great learning from that game, Ash. That's Mandar Timhani. And a lot of people actually, when you were talking about how you bounced back in season 3 and then the team went all the way to the AFC finals. Ash, was it hard handing over the reins when you were all the way in the quarters?
Yeah, I just felt at the time, we'd won it twice, won the Federation Cup. I'd done 3 years solidly in India, to be honest. I hardly ever moved from there. I may get 3 or 4 weeks, at the end of the season where I'd go to England, but, I was never flying here, there and everywhere. I did a little bit of that towards the end of my 3rd year because I was doing my English pro license, so I had to nip out for the odd day here and there. And I just thought at the time, I think I'd spoken to the club and they were talking about a long-term contract, a 3 or 4 year deal. And I just thought, 7 years in India, solidly would probably be a bit too much. And because we'd won it and ended up champions again, I just thought it was time just to step off, maybe try something else and then go from there. And that's what I decided to do. Obviously, you're always thinking, what if? We had this AFC Cup and, me being me, I would always think, I can win this. We're good enough. We'll win it. With the way we can set the team up, with the way we can look at opposition analysis. So there was a little bit of me that was upset that I didn't finish off the AFC Cup campaign, but the way the season splits and the I-League ended and then, you come back, I don't know, September to start the AFC Cup again. It was always going to be tough. I would have had to do another year maybe in the I-League. And I think it was just time to hand it over to somebody else. Left the club in a better place than I found it. And I think that's always the test of a good coach. Most coaches normally leave the club because they get sacked or they've done a bad job. But I just thought it was time to finish out on top and then just leave it to somebody else to go and put their stamp on things.
Ash, you were in the studio with us when Bengaluru FC were playing the finals of the AFC. And I remember it was actually a Hero ISL game that we were preparing for the pre-show and everything. And none of us could focus on that. All our focus was on you because we knew that your heart, every beat of your heart was there with the team. It's the team you built. It's the team you took all the way there. Had you been there in that final, what would you have done differently?
Obviously, again, the players I thought were good enough to win that game. I think it was around about 70 minutes. It was 0-0. And then I just remember there was a tactical change that I think it was just the Aussie boy who went into play central of a 3 central defender, Cameron Watson. I think he swapped in to drop off. There was a substitution. I think it might have even been a Dante, might have ended up at right wing back. And I just thought it looked a little bit strange what had gone on. And within 5 minutes of the tactical change, they conceded 1-0. And then he ended up switching back to their original formation. So I just thought it was a little bit naive. They were in the game. They had a chance. I, for one, you're always looking at the opposition. You're always looking to make tactical switches. But I think you got to make sure everyone knows what you're doing and when you do tactical switches, which means coaching on the field regimentally at different systems at different times. So when you give a command, everybody knows what they're doing and can carry it out. So I just thought, they had a chance to win that and then probably made 1 or 2 little mistakes to not win the game. You can never compare yourself or, I would have won this or I would have won that because that's a load of bollocks. Everyone's their own coach.
Yeah.
When I left Bangalore, they changed their system, they changed their philosophies a little bit. And obviously it's worked for them on occasions and it's not worked for them on occasions. I was always intent on pace and intensity and drive and pressing and stuff like that. And like you say, everyone has their own styles. You know, you can never say I could have done this and I could have done that. All we know is that Bangalore were very, very close, which is testament to everybody at the club, coaches, players, to winning the AFC Cup, which, as we've seen since, you know, no Indian side's been anywhere near, not been close to. So
no, not even close.
It was a shame that they didn't win it, because that would have been nice for India to bring home an AFC Cup. But I'm sure, you know, the way Indian football's going, that in the future, that's not going to be a distant dream either.
Absolutely. Ash, when I asked you this, what would you have done differently? A lot of people have started commenting on what Ash could have done. Keegan Pereira, he's actually written, we went 3 at the back, and that's definitely something Ash would have done. Anand has been writing in a line. I'm going to ask you Anand's question in just a little bit. But before that, Anand actually said that you said to Mason, came in the studio, I would never make a double sub. So that's one of the things probably that you would have done differently. And Chetri has replied back, I'm 40 if you're 55.
I feel 55, and that's probably all this travelling I've been doing on the planes. It's no good for you. Flying in and out of India, it's not good. 15-hour journeys all the time, and obviously free drinks on the plane doesn't do much for your skin. So I feel 55, but in saying that, I could still run Sunil into the ground on a treadmill.
I put my money on you, Ash. I'm backing you up on that, definitely. But because you mentioned this whole, you know, this box of worms with the age thing, Mandar has asked this question. Anand has asked it in a very different way. So I'm just going to go ahead and ask you because it's their question. So Mandar says, are you really a grandpa? And Anand says, what do you prefer, being a grandpa or the youngest coach to have ever won the league?
Yeah,
Anand's asking this.
Yeah, the grandfather one was a strange one. My son killed me a little bit. Flew over to England with my partner on. I think we ended up going. His due date for his child was something like I think it was July the 28th or something. So we flew. I don't know. We'll say July the 20th. Spent a lot of time in England, and then my flight back from England was on the 5th of August. And then 28's come, 29, 30, and thinking, any chance of getting this baby out? The 1st of August comes, no sign. The 2nd of August, the 3rd of August. I'm thinking, this is unbelievable. Like, I'm gonna miss it. 4th of August comes, still no sign. 5th of August, when I've got my flight, I think I was flying from Heathrow, which is probably a 2-hour drive from Northampton. I think the flight might have been something like 7 p.m. And it's got to like 1 o'clock, and I'm like, I'm going to have to go, mate. Like, the flight's there. We've definitely got to get back. So we decided to get in the car and hire a car that you always do, and all that's a bit of a debacle changing over. So we got in the car to set off, and 10, 15 minutes into our journey, when she's having it, she's having it. So it spun the car around, drove to the hospital as quick as we could. We got there, and then there's a few complications, to be fair. We went into the hospital. You're not allowed to see his missus as having an emergency surgery. The baby, something's gone wrong, or blah, blah, blah. And then they actually wheeled his missus, him, and the baby past us in the corridor. So we got to stop the trolley.
You got a glimpse.
Got a little glimpse of the baby, say hello, and then literally by the skin of our teeth made our flight back to Sydney. So it was a strange time. So I think being a grandfather or being the youngest winner, I think certainly youngest winner was a lot easier.
There you go. Well, congratulations, belated, however it may be. Now that we've spoken about all 3 seasons, one of the most common questions coming up, of course, even Varsha wants to know this, is which is your favorite season, if you had to pick one of the 3?
Both. I think obviously the worst was definitely season 2, although we got stronger and won the Federation Cup and whatnot. Season 1 was just special because it was, you know, nobody expected it. We didn't even think we could do it, but we didn't have any pressure to win it. The club was new. You know, we had that stadium at Bangalore where the tickets were 30 rupees to get in the back of the stand-up stand. What ended up, I think, after the club clicked on, people like Satish, who's clever and switched on, we realised that the tickets were getting sold for 1,000 rupees outside because you couldn't get enough of them. So a lot of the staff bought a lot of the tickets. and sorted the friends out and looked after each other. So season one really, because it's so fresh, coming in, new ideas, things working, players getting debuts in the national side was good. But then obviously to win it back season 3 was also great, and a different feel with Cantiva. Obviously, all of a sudden you've gone from 5,000 fans to at times 20,000 fans, and that was obviously special as well. And then obviously the growth and the vibrant West Block Blues had gone from, I don't know, maybe 200, 300, 500 people to then all of a sudden they got this banners that they were always making, and big flags and whatnot, and the rise of them really was also special for season 3.
There was a special chant for you. Every time you heard that chant, how did you feel? It's one of the fans, Vijay, has sent in this question saying, how did you feel? You'll lead them to glory, that chant.
It's not the wanker one, is it?
No.
I've heard a few of them chants.
These are the guys that love you, Ash. There's a section of people who love you.
No, a small minority. No, only joking. No, brilliant. No. I think I've been there as a player. I've actually played for a club called Khuri Alexandra with the other Ashley Westwood, who now plays for Burnley. And I remember, Khuri weren't massively supported, maybe 6,000 people, but a small section of the crowd used to sing "There's only 2 Ashley Westwoods" because we played in the same team at the same time. So any chant when you hear fans singing your name, it always makes you feel a little bit special.
Yeah.
It's always nice to have, and you enjoy it. I'm not a showman, to be honest. I'm not like Sonaloo goes and does the Viking clap and loves it. I acknowledge it and keep my head down, but it does feel nice when you get your names chanted and stuff.
Yeah, one of the ones was "Give us the wave, Ash, give us the wave." That was one of the other chants. Darren Caldera has been saying, get him back. Keegan Pereira saying, if you try that with Sunil, you'll pull your hammy. A lot of your ex-players have been commenting. One of the things you said about your players, go on.
Keegan's pulled his hammy a lot more than I've pulled mine. I can tell you that. He's always pulling his hammy. Normally it's on his way to the buffet.
The gloves are off. Okay, there you go, Keegan. You should have known better than to write that. Anyways, Ash, in the studio one of the days we were having just a chat before our show, and you said when you joined in, you had one player that played for the national team, and when you were done with them, you said most of your players were in the national team. Which ones would you say were underrated? Should have been given an opportunity sooner. Which players did you pick, kind of polish the diamond, and it really shone later on? Which players did you think were very underrated? I
thought at one stage, this was probably before your rise of Gupri and Amrinder as a goalkeeper. Like Moya at one stage was doing really well, and doing well with his feet. Obviously, he liked to play up in the back, and he had good distribution, and he could never get involved. And I always thought he was always aggrieved. So that never used to sit well, because I thought he deserved it at the time. Some of the goalkeepers there weren't great. He sticks in my mind a little bit. Thinking of other players who should have got in. No, I think most of the ones that deserved to get in got in. I mean, we had young players that were getting in the 23s, like Daniel, like Zwala, like Nishu. Obviously, Reno was playing at full back. Fanai at left back. Centre half wise, we had 2 foreign centre halves, although our other 2 centre halves was Manju and Gutej, who ended up going to Pune. Gutej was always okay. The Indian side, they sometimes struggle for central defenders because of everyone talks about it being no Indian forwards. Then there's not loads of Indian central defenders either, because there's a lot of foreign central defenders. You always try and go down your spine.
Yeah.
Eugene deserved his place for sure. So I'm not sure if there was any that probably Keegan was in and out as well, that was doing okay. So I think most of the players that should have got in our side. It's hard to think of one that probably shouldn't have got it, that should have been in but never, maybe apart from the goalkeeper Moya.
So these were the underrated players. What about the overrated ones? Any players you think suddenly are on the map and they're just way too
Robin
overrated?
wears the armband for that, doesn't he? Robin Singh wears the armband for that for sure.
He's watching, by the way. Robin's watching.
Robin was good for us. he made a mistake in my eyes, and I don't care about saying it. He didn't listen to our advice when he ended up something to do with Delhi Dynamos, and he ended up playing for them before his contract with BFC was signed. I think he then went and played for the national team, and he hadn't re-signed his contract at BFC, and he ended up doing his cruciate ligament. And then he had a crossroads, and he had a decision to make. And his decision was, we as a club would always look after you. We believe, the best physios. We've got the best platform for your fitness, and you should have your operation in Bangalore. Stay in and around our club. We'll feed you. We'll house you. We'll get you back to full fitness, fitter than what you were. And he decided to go and have his operation elsewhere. I think maybe Goa, and that was a turning point for me in Robin's career. He should have stayed at BFC. He should have had his operation with us. We would have looked after him, and we would have made sure he got rehabilitated correctly. And when he came back, he would have been stronger. And he didn't. And then obviously the ISL comes in, where players are going in and out of different sides, loaned to one team, back to another team. Yeah. And it becomes a little bit tricky.
You were reunited with Robin in ATK then?
Yeah, but I mean, that was different. I was technical director, didn't have any influence on the training, didn't really have any influence on the systems or the calendar or the logistics on the hours they put in. The diet was not down to me. I was advising, but that's up to people if they want to do it or not do it. So I never really got hold of Robin again, and I know I was good for him. Played to his strengths. Obviously used him at the right times. We had a foreign striker as well. We only played one centre forward, but Robin was one of the reasons we won a league in year one. And obviously then year two he was strong as well. He was the one that I said got brought down for the penalty, and then obviously his injury came and he chose a different path. And he's still a decent player. He needs to get back to being super fit and doing what he's good at, which is holding the ball up, as far away from the the back four, if you like it, when you're playing for us, making the pitch big and playing to your strengths. He's still, I'm pretty sure that as a centre forward, most Indian central defenders or even foreign central defenders in that matter, he's probably the ones that you don't want to play against because he's so strong.
That is true. You think the Indian national team right now could use a Robin Singh in the number 9 position?
A fit and flying Robin Singh for sure. I mean, he's the only one I can think of that gives you a different option. Even if that's sub and you're chasing a game with 15 minutes to go, you're sure he's going to come on and cause some chaos. Normally it's detrimental, but sometimes it can help you.
One of the other players, Ash, who, like I said, shown like a bright diamond in your time, it hasn't somehow been able to taste the same success again since then, has been Eugene. Tell us about you finding Eugene, I think from Shillong Lajong, and then you brought him to BFC, and then now where Eugene is.
Yeah, I think we played against Eugene at Ranjit United. I think his old man, his dad, I think he had something to do with that club, whether he owned it or director or something. Yeah, so that's where we very first played against him. Yeah. Noticed that he was athletic, quick, he had a good leap, 2-footed, good touch, and quite calm on the ball, which can be rare. Very calm in possession, and obviously somebody that had never really been put into a club with the systems that we had. So someone that you knew instantly you could improve. I think Prajim had him on loan or something with Shillong when he was head coach as well. So he knew him as a character and vouched for him, regards him as a boy and disciplined, and almost a kind of a carbon copy of Sunil, if you like, with his the way he applies himself, regards his attitude and stuff. A religious boy, a nice boy, shit at the guitar. But always a pleasure to work with. But someone that you need to understand him. You need to get him fit. Eugene hates running. He hates long distance. So you have to provide something that's going to get him super fit. But when Eugene's super fit, he's one of the best midfielders for sure, and still can be. But he just needs that system, that platform to kick him on. And obviously he needs game time. He comes into a club. I know he went back to Bangalore last season. His injuries at ATK, and when he's not playing regular, you need to provide that work outside. Something we always did at Bangalore. If someone's not playing, if they're not in your starting 16 or even your starting 11, we would always have the boys in the morning of a game. We'd always train. We'd always make sure everyone was at the same level. because eventually your squad, you need everybody, and you can't pick somebody in that's not at the right physical level of your first teams because they've not been playing. So you have to provide that competitiveness in training. You have to provide those extra sessions for the boys that haven't been playing the 90 minutes at the others back, because everyone needs to get the same, we call it red zone minutes, if you like, per week, to make sure that nobody slips off, because otherwise you put somebody in who's not played for 4 or 5 weeks. He, number one, may underperform if he's not at the same levels, or two, get injured because he's not conditioned correctly. So there's a lot of work in and around or outside of the first 11, the 16 that we always gave, and Eugene's a classic for that. He needs those minutes if he's not playing.
He's still one of the best of the finds of BFC.
Yeah, I mean, he ended up going to, I think it was the first year of the draft, he ended up going to Pune as top paid, I think 1 crore or something, that obviously he ended up giving me 500 rupees for, because he repaid me with that, which I welcomed. I got myself a little kebab, I think, with it. So that was welcomed, Eugene. Thanks for that. And he was the best. He was the best midfielder in the country for sure. He was first name on the team sheet with Sunil for the national team, and he had everything. He can edit, he can leap. And say that he has everything. He's pulled out 1 or 2 tackles that I always used to give him stick about. But he was a good player.
What about someone who came to you as a very, very young lad through the under-19s, Udanta, and where Udanta is now? And especially, Ash, I wanted to ask about Udanta because we've seen last season wasn't exactly the best for him. Is he feeling those, like we mentioned right at the start of this chat, pressures of expectation? Just talk to us about Udanta, because you found him as a very, very young boy.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously, Mandar, Prajan, we always used to play the under-19 academy that was, I think, located in Goa at the time. We'd invite them over and play and see what they had, which is where we got Daniel and Nishu and Zwala from. But with Adanta, he was at Tata, and that, again, is one of the strongest academies in India, or it was at the time. I think it probably still is. I'm not quite sure. So we always used to invite them down, try and put the players up, to have a couple of friendly games just to see what they've got, basically. And we played against Adanta. I think he tore Curtis Asano inside out, which is very rare because Curtis was fast. So we knew that there was this little whippet that was rapid, and that's all. We always try to sign fast players, and he obviously had ability as well. He was playing centre forward at the time, and straight away he stuck out like a sore thumb. So we thought we've got to get him at all costs. We've got to get this kid, because he's going to be with the right training that we can provide, he's going to be a star for the future. And he, for me, was the one that would replace Sunil. And we trained him, and he was brilliant for us. We managed to also, do a deal with Oxford in England. I think were League One or Two at the time, and we sent him there for 4 months in the off-season training with the lad who I was assistant to, Michael Appleton, which gave him training in and around their first team, playing for the under-23s in a real competitive environment like England, where you don't get 4 or 5 seconds on the ball. You're lucky to get a second and a half, because you get closed down so fast. It's so physical and quick. And he came back from there, and he was, a lot stronger. He started stepping into players. He learned, because he's probably got kicked from pillar to post in England, and that helped him a lot. And he was, a top player. Last season, obviously, I watched a few games, and he's always a threat because of his pace. He's a good boy as well. He's got good attitude. 1 or 2 things end product wise maybe didn't happen for him last season, but he's a player that needs confidence. Adanta, he's one of those ones that you can't hammer. Left, right, and centre. If you're on his case all the time, he'll probably go under. He just needs to be nurtured in the right way, and I'm sure he's getting out of BFC. And he, again, for me, he's always playing for the national team. He's one of the most dangerous players, and I'm sure he's still going to have a long career with the Indian side. I would like to see him down the middle at times, playing centre forward, because obviously his pace, and he can be a bit more of a free spirit. Sometimes you don't always have to receive the ball tight to the touchline. Down the middle may suit him at times as well.
Wow, that's a nice perspective to think of. Maybe our national coach is listening to this as well. Ash, there's one of the most predictable questions that's been coming in, and we're almost up to an hour now, so I have to ask you a lot of these fan questions. Obvious one, would you consider coming back if the opportunity arose?
Obviously, you never say never in anything in life, because you never know what's around the corner.
Okay.
Obviously, I know I can do a good job in Indian football. I know I've done it before. I believe I've got a good relationship with all the Indians that I've coached. Even the players that were released, would come back and train with us at times. And, I obviously see them around at times when I'm in India. So I know how to get the best out of the Indians. So I'd never say never. Obviously, you're always open for opportunities and you never know what's around the corner.
What is the first thing you would do if you were to come back as head coach?
Probably just win the league.
That's an eventuality. But I love it when you said this. Ash, who would be the first player you'd sign? Indian first player to sign for BFC?
It all depends on timing, doesn't it? I know at the minute there's players around. I've noticed, I think Reno and Beneath and Eugene look like they may be signing for East Bengal. For me, there's 3 players instantly that should be in the ISL. If trained correctly, you've got a left back, a right back in Reno. You've got a fast centre forward or wide player in Beneath. And obviously it was only 4 years ago, the best midfielder in the country. So, those 3 names instantly come to mind. I'd like to sign Suno, but you can't afford him these days, can you? He's on a fortune.
You wouldn't let him go from BFC, would you? Regardless.
Nah, he's...
Here's the paper. Put in a number. Put your signature.
Yeah, nah, he deserves everything he gets. No problem.
Okay. Someone else they're asking for a wave as well. Someone else wants to know, Ash, what's your biggest regret?
None really. You always what could have been or what might have happened, but never regret anything. You make your decisions calculated, you stick by them, and when you make a decision, that sends you down another path. So you can't regret anything because you never know. What also could have gone wrong if you don't make those decisions. No, I get asked the same. I left Man United when I was 19. I got offered another 2-year contract, and I could have stayed there. But you can't regret that. I went on then to play all my career in England till I was 35. If I'd stayed at Man United, I might have got injured and never played again. So you never know.
All right. Ash, also, tell us about the text from Sir Alex.
There was a few, to be honest. There was always, obviously, he has a bit of an umbrella with the players that he's coached that he likes to keep in touch with and give encouragement to. He sent us a text the day before our last game of the season in League Two when we were playing against Monbegan. Just a bit of encouragement, a bit of guidance, and he's always there on the end of the phone if you need him. So, there's been a few.
How much did Sir Alex play as an influence on you when in your coaching time here?
Just little snippets, really. I mean, he was always the master at commanding a room, the master at the aura he gives out, the master at setting standards, at creating an environment for excellence, really, to make sure people achieve standards that he sets. So just little bits like that, really. Are always key. I mean, he's even that, I don't know, astute as to how you position your desk in the room and little bits like that. So it's a very clever at commanding power, I would have thought.
Wow. Ash, what's your message to West Block Blues?
Just keep doing what they're doing. Obviously, keep singing the songs, keep turning up in numbers, keep being innovative, different creations, different banners, and obviously always stay behind your side. Win, lose or draw. It's always your club, and it's always there to be supported. Nobody loses on purpose. Nobody doesn't try in football, and everybody's fighting for the same cause, really, and that's to try and win trophies.
And all your ex-players, your staff, there's Kunal, there's Mandar, there's everyone over here who's worked with you. What would you say to them right now?
Just make sure you get on time because they're normally late.
Ash, thank you so much. I have 45 seconds only of this live chat remaining with you. Thank you so much for doing this. I don't know how, obviously time flies when you're having fun, and with you, it's always fun. Promise us you'll talk to us again soon.
We will, no problem. Just make sure the check's in the post.
Okay, we've got that. West Block Blues are listening. They're taking care of this. I have no idea what you just said. We can't afford you, Ash. Just like Sunil. Thank you so much,
Bye-bye.
Ash. Have a good one. Stay safe. We'll see you again
Bye-bye.
very soon.
Bye.
Thank you, Ash.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. All right, guys. So